So I was raised on the promise that if you go to school, you go to college, you do all the extracurriculars, make your application look real good, maybe some volunteer service, network and hustle yourself, you will be set up for a great, life-fulfilling job that pays well, has benefits, and makes the world a better place. We were sold a life where we could have it all. So when I graduated and immediately went to work doing fundraising for nonprofits, I thought I had it. I had all the things on paper that should have fulfilled that promise. Then time went on and I realized that it was good work and I was good at it, but it did not fulfill me. It was not who I was called to be or what I was called to do. Something just continued to feel out of whack, and my soul felt the gloom of it. I became so disenchanted with everything. I felt like no one had told me the truth about this space in life, and now I was stuck in this place where everything felt disconnected and alienating. I was salty, which for everyone over 35, which includes me, I am late to this, salty is youngin' slang for bitter. And I think that's probably a different definition than what Jesus meant when using the metaphor of saltiness. Salt here is something that enriches. It amplifies goodness that's already there, enhancing the flavor of whatever it's paired with. So it shines brightest not on its own, but when in relationship. And light is similar. It illuminates things that already surround us. It reveals what is true and is multiplied when shared. Light is one of those interesting things that when shared is not diminished. It is not a pie. It is an abundant, renewable resource. But when these things in particular become disconnected from what they are created to be, we feel it in our soul. And we see it in the world around us, in the injustices of the world. When salt is exhausted, the beauty of it is lost. When light is snuffed or diminished, we stumble and fear. So I wonder what uses you up? What exhausts you? What diminishes you? I don't mean the challenges that come from being fully human and in the world, but what separates us and others from our indwelling God-given goodness. I think during the pandemic, we decided that Zoom meetings was the answer to that. Indeed, God doesn't say, go become salt or light or places of refuge. God says you are those things. God points to the goodness that is amplified when we embrace it. So I wonder then, what supports you in being aligned with who God created you to be? Reach out and hold their hand. What amplifies you, fulfills you? Leaning into these things isn't indulgent. It is God's work in the world. You are beloved. Let your love show. You are blessed to be a blessing. And while I believe embracing this will probably make you a more joyful and whole person, sometimes, none of this is purely for our own individual sake. It is to amplify that same goodness in our neighbor. It is what spurs us in the work of justice to dismantle the barriers and indignities that separate others from this kind of life too. And I don't think it necessarily looks like leading or landing some idealized job or getting people to believe or live the way that we do. Jesus says that the point is not to abolish or get rid of essential life-giving things just for the sake of change, but to allow them to shine as God intended. The revolution Christ leads does not overthrow, but builds up. When we are true to ourselves, our whole selves, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then some, who God created us to be, in relationship with others, leaning toward the same, we see a growing light. Perhaps some might say we are building for light. And God is glorified. Amen. We hold a moment of stillness and silence to let the word linger in us.